Well, g'day everyone and welcome back to the channel. On this week's episode, Ali and I are heading to the beautiful town of St Arnaud. So go and get yourself a cold drink and get your feet up for the next 20 minutes or so. Come and join us for the adventure. Hi, I'm Steve.
And I'm Alison.
We decided a couple of years ago that we'd work hard and save all of our money and start living life on our own terms.
So we bought a caravan and hit the road on a trip for two all around Australia.
So why not come and join us every week for our adventures? As I mentioned in the intro, this week we're heading to the beautiful town of St Arnaud. We left Benalla and on our way we dropped in at some of the Victoria's fabulous silo art that you see along the way. Absolutely incredible. If you want to know more about the silo art trail in Victoria, just jump onto the website that I'll throw up on the screen for you now, and you can get day trip maps, all sorts of things, and all the different areas where you'll find the silo art. But let's get back and into today's episode. Well, good morning. We've left the showgrounds. In fact, we left the showgrounds 2 days ago, didn't we?
We did, yes.
And we stayed at a free camp, and we rung our family last night to let them know we had no bloody idea where we were. But what we do know...
Stephen didn't know.
What we know this morning is we were next to a river somewhere in central Victoria, but as we've come into the township of Rochester this morning, we realised that we're on the Campapsy River, I think that's the way you pronounce it, I might be wrong, at a campsite called Ason's Campground or something like that. Anyway, I'll drop in the Wiki Camps link to it here. It was just an overnighter. It was 36 degrees. It was bloody disgustingly hot, wasn't it?
It was a hot day in Victoria, yes.
So we've come for a drive this morning into the township of Rochester to check out their silo art, which is quite good, and I'll show you all that in a minute. And I'll also show you the free camp, which is located very close by, just for your information if you decide you want to come and stay here. Silo art in Rochester out, it's pretty good, isn't it?
Yes, it's very good. Something I haven't seen before, so I really quite enjoyed stopping and having a look.
Definitely, extremely well painted. This is more photorealistic, these ones, aren't they?
I think so, yes.
They've got a great mural of a platypus. You'll find it at the back. So when you come to these silos, make sure you walk all the way around them because there's paintings over all of them, which is really, really good to see. Very different to the other silos that we've seen so far.
Yes, it is.
All right, I'm going to whip across the street. I'm going to show you the free camp that's available here. You can stay here for 48 hours. It's close access to town. It offers absolutely nothing anyway. I'll give you a quick look. This here is the RV stop in Rochester. There's not much to it. It's flat, it's gravel, it's very, very close to town. In fact, you just walk directly across there and you're standing straight in town. There's a bakery just over here, there's pubs and shops and all those sorts of things. So that's really good. The train lines are still in use. I couldn't tell you what time a train comes through here, but I'm sure you'd wake up in the middle of the night if one comes through. But I think just as an overnighter and you want to explore the town and particularly the silo art, well, after a quick stop over in Rochester to check out their silo art, we've continued a little bit further west and we've come to the township of St Arnaud. And I've got to say, just a quick drive through town on our way into the campsite. Looks absolutely beautiful. I'm going to go in town a little bit later on and explore what the town has to offer. But we've come to stay at the free camp, which you'll find just on the outskirts of town. In fact, it's about 800 metres away. It's an easy walk in. It's called Pioneer Park. It's located just in behind the showgrounds. So I'll give you a bit of a look around and show you what we got. So this is our spot that we picked at Pioneer Park here in St Arnaud. It's a great little area to come and set up. It's a beautiful free camp. You can see here there's plenty of room for plenty of setups. You can even get up some of the tracks and stuff around here if you want a little bit more privacy. But if you follow the track that you can see here going around to the left of the race course, then you can follow along to the sports club where you can get yourself a meal. I can vouch it's a pretty good chicken parma in there for 27 bucks, I think it was, for a non-member. And then just a little bit further past the sports club, and of course I'm going to cut in photos of all this, you'll find the dump point and access to fresh water. A short walk down from the camping area, you'll find the Lord Nelson mine. That was one of the, I think it was the largest mine here, wasn't it, Al?
I think so. I haven't quite finished reading it.
It is, but there's a trail that you can do. So there's a photo here of a map. You can also get that same map from the Tourist Information Centre in town. We're going to go for a bit of a drive around this afternoon. It reminds me a little bit of the car door tour that you do in Lightning Ridge.
Yes.
So it's got some red arrows. You just follow the red arrows around the tracks. Apparently you can walk it or you can also ride it. But it seems like it'd be quite an interesting thing to do.
Yeah, I think so. Something different to do.
Definitely. Now I'm going to show you in a minute the only sewage treatment plant in Australia that comes complete with a diving board. This here is the map of the trail that we're going to follow this afternoon. Now, as I said, you can get this at the information centre, but we went down and we got it, and it is very, very hard to read. So what I'd suggest you do if you want to do the trail is come up here to the shed up at the old mine site and take a photo of this map and then use that to get your way around. So just talking a little while ago that we found the only water sewage treatment plant in Australia that has a diving board in it, and that's probably a little bit far from the truth. It's actually a water treatment plant. It was a dam for the mine, but later on it was used as a swimming pool for the local community, and the diving board is still there today. Check it out. So in 1915, when the mine closed down, they had a big dam up here which was a bright blue in colour. Anyway, they cleaned it all out and they decided they'd turn it into a public amenity, and they turned it into a swimming pool so the locals could come up and use it. It was used for a number of years before it was eventually closed down. But today it's a water treatment plant and it does have effluent in it, so you certainly don't want to go swimming in there. But as I said before, it's the first sewage treatment plant I've ever seen that comes with a diving board. So we're going to go for a drive around the Lord Nelson mining trail, which should be pretty good, shouldn't it?
I think it'll be quite interesting.
Just follow the red arrows, and I'll just cut in a picture of what they look like here. They're a lot smaller than what you think they might be. In fact, if you've done the car door tour at Lightning Ridge, you'll understand why they use a car door to give you directions, not these little tiny arrows. But as you go along, you can correlate what you see to your map, and you can read a little bit about it at each one of the stops. The first one that we're coming to is known to the locals as the Sandhills, and it's where they used to dump all the tailings that come from the mines. In the 1990s, when the gold price started to go through the roof, companies come back out here and rerun all of these tailings to see if they could pick up any gold that was missed by the older miners, and from what I've read they did. But never ever give up hope, because a metal detectorist here in 1993 found the biggest gold nugget ever found by a metal detectorist in Australia. So that's certainly something. If you want to see a replica of that, shoot down to the information centre when you get here and you can check it out. So we've come around onto the tour now, or to follow the arrow tour around about the old mining area. You can see here we're at the start. Just another tip I've got for you, if you want to come up and stay in this area here and you're using Google Maps to get here, we found yesterday, and we did read a few comments on Wikicamps about this, is that Google Maps will bring you to a point which is not really suitable at all to take your caravan along. Just when you get to that point, if you're coming this way, just continue up the road. You'll see this sign on your left-hand side as you come up, and you get a really easy access road that takes you straight down to the campground. This is Love's Cottage. It's one of the earliest, or the earliest example of a miner's cottage still standing here in St Arnaud. I think this one was built in about 1876. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is very good. They had like 11 children.
Yeah.
They fitted into this cottage.
Apparently the boys used to sleep in the shed out the back. We'll go and have a look at the shed. It looks like it's half fallen down though. So we've got ourselves back on track now. I've got to say, this has been a pretty hard track to follow. As a former Australian infantryman, I take pride in my ability to be able to navigate, but I've got to say I have been geographically embarrassed today. Fortunately, Alison was able to get us back on track.
It wasn't too hard to find, but I must admit I expected to be all off-road the track, so I think we were taken aback when we had to come on to the sealed roads.
Yeah.
And follow the track, and I think a few markers might be missing as well, but we've got the hang of it now, so we're into it now. We took the picture that we showed you a little bit earlier, we just blow it up, we find the crossroads on our navigation in the car and just go to that crossroad. We seem to be able to find it all right, but we are back on the trail of the red arrows.
So parts of the mining trail are off-road, so just be mindful of that when you come around. It's nothing too dramatic though. But we've come up to a place called Bell's Rock. It's a good lookout, shows you all around the surrounding areas when you come up here. But one thing I've seen that's quite noticeable is there's a lot of tailings up here, obviously from old mining days. But there's a lot of fresh digs up here, so people are obviously coming up with the detector or something and going through the old tailings. Not 100% sure, but this looks like it might be an old mine shaft that's caved in or filled in. So that was the Lady Nelson mine. There's not too much to see here, but just like we saw up at Bell Rock, there's a lot of areas you can see there's fresh diggings where people are obviously coming through with metal detectors or whatever to maybe try and find something. A lot of bloody flies too. So all the mines that we've seen so far have been underground mines, but this is the first example that we've seen of an open cut mine. A little bit dangerous if you come up here with the kids. You can see there's an open mine there. It's got a lot of rubbish and stuff down the bottom of it, but all the barrier protection's all fallen down, whether it's wind or locals. Someone's come and knocked it all down, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's still dangerous if you come up here. So the last stop on the tour for us today will be the Comstock open cut mine. This is what we thought an open cut mine would look like. It's quite large, this one, isn't it, Al?
It does look large, yeah.
Yeah. The other one that we found up on the track a little bit earlier just looked like a little bit of a crevice between two rocks, but it was certainly an open cut mine. Anyway, we'll get out and check this one out, and then we're going to head back into town and get ready to go out for Chinese tonight. We didn't find any gold while we walked around the gold fields today, but I did find something starting with G which I didn't expect, and it was this. Bloody golf ball. So that's it for the historical gold mining trail for Ali and I today. It was pretty good, wasn't it?
It was quite interesting once we got orientated.
Yeah, it's a great drive when you come through. I wouldn't do it in a two-wheel drive car. You definitely need to have a four-wheel drive car to get into some areas. Not you need to put into four-wheel drive, but you need the clearance.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, but it's very interesting. It's a lot of old stuff. I don't think it's been used for a couple hundred or for 100 years or so, but well worth the drive to have a look around. Look at some history.
It was. It's been pretty good, I have to say.
All right, let's get back and do whatever we do on the Sarvi. There's two things that we love doing. Number one, Alison loves taking photos, and the other thing that we really enjoy doing is coming visiting railway stations. We do them everywhere, don't we, Al?
Yeah, it's always interesting. It's good historical, from a historical point of view, what our history was like.
And the other thing is that most of the stations that we visit are of about the same age. It's interesting to see the different designs that they use as you go from state to state. And even though that might seem a little bit boring to some people, it's very interesting when you come and have a look at it. So this was really interesting. Just here behind me you can see a large water tower, and there's another object. I'm sure the guy told us it's a pump. It's that one just there. They don't look that old, but they're incredibly old. These were in fact used, obviously, the water tower to hold water in, and the pump was used to pump water into steam engines when they used to roll through here a number of years ago now. This is also an art gallery because it's not a workable station anymore, and a gentleman just offered us to open up the gallery and have a bit of a look around, but we didn't want to hold him up, so we'll give a skip on that. But we are going to get around and see all the stuff in town, all the different murals and things that's done by the local artists, so it should be just as good. So the other thing you'll find when you come to St Arnaud, like you do in all these little country areas as we come through central Victoria, is more silo art, but I'm particularly impressed with these ones. They're really good, aren't they, Al?
They are, and it's done by a local resident, so it's very good. It
is. This one behind us is called Hope. It was done in 2020. The artist's name is Kyle Tawney, I think is the way you pronounce it, and he specialises in this black and white realistic photo type paintings. And I've got to say, when you look into the faces of the people painted on the silos here, here, hope is definitely the word that you think of, isn't it?
It is, and it's of the local residents themselves, so he's really, I guess, celebrated the local people in his artwork as well, which is quite lovely to see.
He certainly has, and you can find them all around town, muraled on the sides of buildings and sheds and stuff. So we'll cut in a few pics of those to show the sorts of arts, but it's really good to have a look at. It's even up near the campground where we're staying up in the back of Pioneer Park. So we just come for a little walk through the Queen Mary Gardens. Now the Queen Mary Gardens have been here since, I think, about 1880, didn't it say it?
Yeah, I think so.
They were discovered early, for want of a better term, but they decided to set land aside when the town was right at its very beginning and make it a cool place. And a lot of travellers used to stay here on their way out to the gold fields and things like that. But one thing you do notice when you walk in is it is quite cool when you get into the shade of the trees. So here's something we didn't know about St Arnaud, but Wills of Burke and Wills fame was a surveyor who surveyed the original streets for St Arnaud. So we're continuing our walk through the streets of St Arnaud. I've got to say, it's a beautiful town to walk through. The buildings are fantastic, aren't they?
It's quite beautiful.
And they've maintained all the old shops. Now, admittedly, a lot of them are closed down. That just seems to be the way of business today. But something that is, I think, a little bit unique to the street is it has a grapevine growing down both sides of the road for, geez, a good 400 or 500 metres. It's really good to follow along.
It's quite beautiful, quite ornate.
It certainly is. Just over here behind my shoulder is the Freemasons here in St Arnaud, and it's named after a guy named James Stewart. Now, if I've got my information right, and I'm going to check in with my mother on this, he would be my great-great-great-grandfather, I think. Anyway, I'll check it out and do some more research. Well, here we are at the end of the caravan, and that means it's the end of this week's episode. We've had a fantastic trip, and we really hope that you've enjoyed it. What did you enjoy most about this week, Al?
For me, it's been the silo art. I've quite enjoyed all the different silo art in the different regions. It's been particular to that, something special to that region. I've really enjoyed St Arnaud's silo art, and within the town they've had photos of the local people telling a story, and I've really enjoyed the storytelling of this particular artist. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. We met one of the locals, well, a former local from here. Shout out to Darren. How are you, mate? Yes.
He's a nice bloke to meet.
He is. He's now based in Dalby, I think.
He's a Dalby man. But he knew a few of the people that were up on the walls that have been painted around the town, all locals, and he gave us a little bit of an insight of the history, and that was fantastic.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, I think for me this week, not only did I enjoy the silo art, I really enjoyed the little towns that we went to. Well, not little towns, they're quite large, but Benalla and here in St Arnaud and the little towns in between. I think coming from Queensland, we don't hear about a lot of these little towns, but I tell you what, they're certainly worth the stop over, aren't they? They
are. Yet again, Australia has some gems if you just get outside the city limits.
Exactly. And there's so much history inside of these towns that you just don't realise. And I think I come across a former relative, well, a relative of our families from many moons ago. So anyway,
like it.
I think I'll get a little bit more research coming up. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you liked it, please give us a like before you go. If you've got any questions or comments about today's episode, make sure you hit us up in the comment section. And of course, as usual, if you have not subscribed to our channel, I forgot what I was going to say then. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please consider doing so, because it really allows our channel to grow. But until next Saturday at 7 o'clock, you guys have yourselves a great week. We can't wait to see you. We'll see you then.
See you then.
Bye-bye. Well, good morning. We left our campsite. Where the bloody hell did we stay?
I'm not sure.
Not the one last night, the one the night before that. Where were we then? I'll just have to start that again.